Late at night, the girl was secretly reading by torch. Suddenly there was a noise outside. Curious, the girl went to the windowsill to check. A giant appeared in front of her. The girl was so scared that she shivered under the blanket, but the giant had already seen her. He reached out and took the girl with him from the orphanage. The giant was too big. In order not to be seen, the giant had to unfurl his black cloak and disguise himself as a wall to hide from passers-by. The giant disguised himself as a street lamp. If someone came out to take out the rubbish, the giant would immediately disguise himself as a tree outside the town, and then the giant let himself go, jumping across the road, over the trees, leaving only the swaying trees to prove he'd been here. And finally he left, through clouds of thunder and lightning, and finally he came back to his house, putting the girl Mary aside. The giant began to prepare the evening's meal. Mary peeked out from under the covers. She saw the giant sharpening his knife. Mary was terrified. She decided to escape, but the window was too heavy. The weak Mary accidentally knocked over something on the sill. The giant heard the noise, reached out and grabbed Mary back, and turned her upside down in the pot. He was going to make Mary into dinner, but the giant took the knife and cut the cucumber instead. As the giant's knife fell, the table shook violently, as if to warn Mary that running away would end up like this cucumber. Courageous Mary continued to negotiate with the giant. She asked him to let her go, promised to keep tonight's events a secret. Otherwise, the giant would keep her locked up. She would always find a way to escape. At that, the giant had to tell Mary to get real. Now they were in the land of the giants. The giants outside love to eat children. The giants outside eat everything. Then he grabbed Mary and put her on top of the sailboat where he slept. Then he took out his magnifying glass. He saw the book that Mary had brought with her, listening to the giants reading. Mary fell into a deep sleep. When Mary fell asleep, the giant rushed into his secret base. He saw countless colorful jars. The fireworks in the jars danced like elves, representing all kinds of dreams. The identity of the giant finally emerged. He is the legendary dream giant. He pulled out a flaming genie from the jar to create a nightmare for Mary, to dissuade her from running away. Unaware that she was already in a nightmare, she thought she had actually escaped. The next moment, a giant hand blocked her way. Mary was caught by the giant. Mary woke up from her sleep. She realized that the giant was trying to scare her. Sensing Mary's anger, the old man took out his homemade soda. He was going to show Mary a human rocket launch. At that moment, the cannibal giant knocked on the door. He seemed to smell a human child. He began to look around the house. The old giant got very nervous. The girl had just dug into a giant cucumber. The giant picked up the cucumber. Mary, who couldn't get out of the cucumber. The old man claimed it was food for the pigs. The giant threw the cucumber out and left the place cursing. After closing the door, the old man was relieved. Looking at the dirty Mary, the old man took her to his secret base. After Mary had changed her clothes, the old man put her in a hole in the tree and told her to go to sleep. He had to go out and hunt dreams, which he had to do every day, and Mary refused. She wanted to go with the old man. Mary begged the old man to take her with him, so that the giants wouldn't realize she was there. While they were still asleep, the old man stepped carefully over the giants' heads. The giant tried to sneeze. He immediately blocked his nose with a stick, over the giant's long legs, and round the giant's fingers, and he got the crow's beak in his hand. The giant caught him in the act. The other giants heard the noise. They woke up from their sleep, seeing the weakest old man in the land of giants. They suddenly thought of a fun sport, so the old man was thrown around like a sandbag. Even so, the giants weren't satisfied. They used a big truck as a pulley. They started a game of bumper cars on the hillside. The old man was desperate to be put on the truck. According to the size of the opponent, he could have been knocked down. Luckily, this is the first time the giants have played this game. They're not yet proficient. Eventually they were punished. They were hit so hard that their eyes glowed. It's as if the heavens can't stand it anymore. It's like the sky can't stand it. And in a flash, it rained, and the giants were drenched in it. The giants were very brave, but they were afraid of water. Some giants took out umbrellas. Some tried to shield themselves from the rain with trees. But the next moment, the tree was struck by lightning. The situation got out of hand. The old man took advantage of the situation and fled with Mary. But in their haste to escape, they didn't notice Mary's blanket was left behind. Through the clouds, the old man came to the land of dreams. Here he could capture as many dreams as he wanted. On the surface of the lake, there was a big colorful tree. The old man jumped without hesitation. Mary also jumped in on command. It turned out that the bottom of the lake was the real land of dreams. Dreams dripped from the tree. They become dream sprites. It was like being in a fairyland. The old man started to catch the dreams he wanted. Mary joined in. After putting the dream genie in a bottle, they went to the city. There's an old man nearly 20 meters tall in the human world. He took out a special horn. He reached into a boy's room. Then he blew it gently. The dreams in the loudspeaker were given to the boy. Seeing the sleeping boy smile, the old man was relieved to leave. But as soon as he and Mary arrived home, the giant came to the door. It turned out that the giant had picked up Mary's blanket. He found out about Mary's existence. In order to find Mary, the giant smashed everything in the house. The old man was saddened by the broken dreams. The old man was sad because of his weakness. He was bullied by the giants. Even the worst work he loved was destroyed by the giants. Angrily, the old man bravely raised his torch, and for the first time he fought back, and used water, which they feared the most, to repel the giants for a while. Meanwhile, Mary found the queen's portrait in a hole in the tree. She had a great idea. She and the old man alone could not stand up to the ferocious giants. Mary and the old man found a powerful helper in the form of the queen. But how could they convince the queen of what they were saying? Mary thought they could make up a nightmare and implant it in the queen's dreams. With the nightmare in hand, the two went to the queen's chambers. The queen soon awoke from her dream. Thinking about the recent disappearance of children, the queen realized the gravity of the situation. If the giant kingdom really exists, the giants must be defeated. The next day, the queen summoned Mary and the old man. Due to the old man's size, he had to stoop the whole way into the palace. If he wasn't careful, he'd hit the lamp on the ceiling. Sitting on the pre-prepared chairs, dozens of people had to push them up, eating the delicious food on the table. The old man felt as if his life was at its peak. To thank the queen for her hospitality, he took out his own special soda. But when the queen's men drank it, the seriousness of the scene became funny. But no one was affected. As the queen raised her glass, the old man started to march with his army. In order to increase the chances of victory, the old man was going to create the most horrible nightmare. He would drop it on the giants while they slept. But when the nightmare was finished, he realized that he had left his special loudspeaker at the palace. That's bad. Mary rushed into the giants with the jar in her arms. The red-bearded giant smelled the scent of humans. He woke up immediately. Mary saw it, smashed the jar, and released the nightmare spirit. The giant, still awake, was instantly consumed by the nightmare. The army took the opportunity to launch a fierce attack. The giants failed. Soon the giants lost their ability to fight. They were captured. Eventually, the giants were sent to an island surrounded by sea. They were left with nothing but cucumber seeds. Nothing else came to mind. From now on, the vegetarian giants began to wail in despair.